Kindness. We see it all around us. We see it when someone pays for someone else's coffee or holds the door open for another person. We see it in the smallest of gestures, like a smile or a kind word. But it's different when we turn on the news or social media. Oftentimes, what we hear about, what outlets are pushing, is the opposite of kind. Welcome to the Kindness Matters podcast. Our goal is to give you a place to relax, to revel in stories of people who have received or given kindness, a place to inspire and motivate each and every one of us to practice kindness every day. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kindness Matters podcast. I am your host, Mike Rathbun, and, I look around, and I talked about this in another podcast, and it's like, when you start focusing on kindness, or because you think maybe you don't see enough, but the more you focus on it, the more you see. And recently I was reminded that I had reached out back 11 years ago to, and I'm going to say this, I know that she's embarrassed about it, a famous person. For some information, I had found some information that she had written, and I wanted to quote it in an article I was writing. And when I came up with this idea for a podcast, this person was on my list. I wanted to get her on. And I reached out, and she has gracefully agreed to do the show. Please welcome national speaker, sought-after speaker, former news anchor, and host of Decorating Sense, Joan Steffend Brandmeier.
Yay!
Welcome to the show, Joan.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Was that like the
I don't
longest?
really think of myself.
What's that?
I don't really think of myself in those terms anymore, but it's interesting to hear it said back to me.
I know you don't. Was that like the longest intro anybody's ever?
No, not at all. Not at all. Sometimes if I appear somewhere, you end up, they ask you for your history, so you send it, and then they'll end up reading the whole thing, and it's like, well, there's nothing left for me to say. So,
thank you. Good night.
Yes. No, all is well.
But I mean, there's a lot of people who might know you. I mean, if folks are from Minnesota, certainly during do we call it the Paul Majors era?
Well, yes.
You kind of coincided with Paul there, didn't you?
I did. I actually predated Paul. I
didn't
my goodness. Him, but I was there before him. I was there before everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, I came when it was WTCN here in the Twin Cities, and then it was WUSA, and then it was CARE. So I worked at 3 stations in one.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I've only been here, I think I moved up here in 89 or 90, and it was always been CARE since then, but wow.
Yeah. So I was there for 17 years. So yes, a few people might remember me. I never made it to the weekends, but I had fun.
It was awesome seeing you. And then the one thing I like about you, Joan, well, there's more than one, but one that sticks out is this theme of kindness and caring and happiness and joy has always kind of woven its way through whatever it is that you did. Mm-hmm. And it really came across on CARE. And then after CARE, you went to HGTV and Decorating Sense. Mm-hmm. And you could just see it in you. You could see it. You exuded this feeling of kindness and gratitude and caring and happiness and joy.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. That was even under great restraint, because back in those days, HGTV did not want any personality on the air. They wanted you that, like, don't try to be funny. Don't try to be, it's like, so that it came through even under duress. I'm grateful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh boy, I just sounded really for cute.
I love it.
My Minnesota is coming out.
Of course.
And we talked before the show, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you grew up, you're a Minnesota girl. You grew up in Cambridge, mm-hmm. and went to Brown Institute.
I did.
which, if nobody knows, it was a school of higher learning.
Yeah, it was how to play records and talk up the ramps on records, and yeah, it had almost nothing to do with what I ended up doing, but it was a good experience.
You know,
But
and
yeah,
my
and
wife
I
and I
ended
were
up
talking
going.
about, because records are back now, right?
Oh yes, they are. I know. I have a whole basement filled with them. Let's see what I can do with that. Maybe it's a treasure trove.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I was telling her about the feeling, okay, when you would queue up a record, and this is
Mhm.
the old days when you still played records on the radio. And I took a broadcasting course, and I wanted to be a DJ. But the sound of queuing up that record so that as soon as you hit that button, the record would start playing the song. I distinctly, to this day, I can still remember that sound. It went zoop, 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 zoop.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was so cool. And I have no idea where I was going with that story.
No,
Or what it,
well, we're talking about Brown Institute, and
yeah,
that's
I guess.
that's the last time I queued up a record when I was at Brown Institute, because then I went to work in television almost immediately. So no record queuing.
Yeah.
I made other mistakes. I'm in other venues.
Well, but I mean, through your life, you have been dedicated to this feeling of making the world a better place. Is that fair to say?
Um, I think I have always been aware of the option to do that. And I haven't always succeeded. I'm sure there are people out there who, may or may not be listening, and they would, I do not want to be seen in any way, shape, or form as somebody who has mastered this. But I've always been aware of the option, and I've always been aware of the opposite in our culture. Our culture is not necessarily it's not necessarily training everybody every day to be kind. Even and there, I'm not saying anything bad about the people who do the news, but even the news is there to tell you the worst part of humanity. What is the worst that's happened out there? How have people been so increasingly unkind to one another? Have they found a new way to be unkind to one another? Those tend to be the things that you hear about on the daily news. We tend to entertain ourselves in movies and television shows with people being unkind to one another. So I guess I was aware of the option to be kind, and I was confused by the choice to highlight the unkind. I remember when I was very little and I was at the Leader Store Mercantile in Cambridge, Minnesota. And I remember there was somebody behind the counter who, I even talked to my mom about it, and I was very little, who was unkind. And I didn't understand it. I remembered smiling, and I remember getting something that looked kind of like a scowl back. And no, and I was very little, but it made an impression on me. I can still see her face.
Oh, wow.
From that age. So the awareness was there, I guess, is the bottom line.
Sure. Yeah. It's, and why is it that we hang on to those unkind feelings?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and I talked about, the movies and TV shows where people are unkind to one another. And I confess that, and I looked at it as like violent TV shows, but, and you asked me, well, why do you watch those? And I didn't have an answer for you.
And I would like to say I asked without judgment. I just want to know.
No. You weren't like, well, why do you watch that?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was a genuine curiosity question. And I took it as such. But I think what I like action movies, but I gravitate to the ones where either somebody is fighting for the little guy, the underdog, and maybe that involves violence. I think about it just left my mind. The movies with Denzel Washington, they made it into a TV show now with Queen Latifah.
I don't know. It's like they're always called like the enforcer or the natural. I
Oh,
don't know.
that
Something
wait,
like that,
that
right?
you're almost there. The
Am I?
Equalizer.
The equalizer. Yeah.
Yes. That kind of show. And yes, it can be kind of violent. The TV show less so than the movie, but those are the kind of show I enjoy those type of shows.
Hmm.
I don't enjoy other shows that show violence just for violence sake.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. I mean, what you're trying to follow, it sounds like, is the thread of kindness and justice when you're
Yes.
watching that, right?
Yes, those are the ones I gravitate towards.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand that. And I think that that's probably a great reaction to the world that we're living in, because sometimes you don't really see the justice and you don't see the kindness. And it feels good to believe that there's someone out there willing to go to the mat for you, or for the underdog or the, um, yeah. So I totally see that. But there's still a part of me that wonders if it's possible to tell interesting stories that don't always involve that,
Right.
a sense of vengeance coming back or something like that. And it's just a wonder. I don't have an answer. It's just a wonder. I tend to be a really good wonderer. So no solutions, just wonder.
You have on your website, and I loved this, is you had a series of stories or potential screenplays, didn't you? Am I making that up? Did I just
You might be
imagine that?
making that up. The screenplays, I mean, are you talking about the something to think about, or we did a series?
No, that was also awesome.
And we did a series called Kinder, a Hopeful Idea, my husband and I, because he's a video and film guy. So,
Yeah.
and you know what? We've always got something in the works, because he is a video and film guy, and we always have something that we're trying to move out into the world. Sometimes it's not very welcome, but we like to think of things that move the world forward in a positive way. Like we did a documentary. He was the lead on it for sure, but a documentary on marriage and how people stay in relationship. So that may be what you're thinking of. That's been in film festivals, and I think you can still see it on Amazon if you log in. It's called I Do ?
Yes.
Yeah. And it is so worthwhile, because even if you're not married or you're not thinking about getting married, it's about relationship, and it's about you watch, I think it's 17 or 18 different couples talking about relationship, and everybody feels very certain as to how it could or should unfold. And almost everyone is wildly different. So it kind of gives you a little lesson into humanity, how we all think we've found the way, and we're all so different. And we have, so the invitation is to allow one another to be who they are, so you could be who you are and not start a fight about it.
Exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
I found it. It is on your website.
Yeah.
And it's under media and links. Over on the side. Yep. Over on the right-hand side, there's something called Joan's work, view Joan's work, and there's something called Joan's TV ideas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're still out there.
Those are awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I'm a dreamer and I'm an imaginer, and I like to use my imagination, and I like to use it for good. And so I come up with stuff all the time. I have so many books and little stories that I've written, but they haven't found a home yet. So that's what you're seeing in there is part of my imagination at work, just trying to find good things to put out into the world.
I really like the one called One Voice.
Oh, yes. We worked so hard to get that out. And you know what? A lot of people, we got that into the hands of a few people, but it seemed like the answer was, but where's the sex? Where's the violence? Where's the nudity? The feeling was that it needed something kind of dirtier to grab the attention, kind of a thing.
Is that where we are now?
Well, I think it's, as I told you on the phone, I remember doing interviews with people, and they'd always say, we would love to see a good news television show. We'd love to see more kindness. We'd love to see that. And some studies have been done. And yes, people will say that. And then they tend not to watch that. So if people aren't watching it, then it will not get funded and it will not be renewed. And so it kind of, there's an interesting intersection between what people think they want and what they will actually watch.
What they'll spend time watching.
What they'll spend money on and spend time
right.
on. Yeah. So that's an intersection that I think is a really interesting one. Because people have memorized and really know in their heart that kindness is a good thing, that loving one another and accepting one another is a great thing, but we're still drawn to another way of entertaining ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of entertainment, now
yes.
you've done a few things since. Yeah. It seems like it was just yesterday that I was watching Decorating Sense and going, I could do that.
That's been 16 years, I think. Now.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh
15
my gosh.
16 years. Yeah. Oh. I'm old.
But you've been involved in a lot of different things after that. And maybe the public doesn't hear it, but it's all very important. I really like your involvement with, and I just found out about this and I'm still reading about this, but part of the reason that I'm attracted to it is because of Mike Veeck. Fun is good.
He's a character. Yeah. Fun is Good is his company name. Fun is Good.
And it is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just at the premiere of his new documentary. I don't know if you know that that's coming out. He had a documentary filmed about him over the last 3 years by a man named Morgan Neville, who did the documentary, won the Oscar for 20 Feet from Stardom and the Anthony Bourdain documentary. He's a really well-known documentarian. And so we were lucky enough to go to the premiere just this last Sunday. And it's a remarkable documentary. And it's filled with human foible and human kindness. And I think you will really like it. It's coming out on Netflix towards the 18th of September, I think I want to say.
Oh, I will put that on my calendar for sure.
Yeah.
His story is so amazing.
Yeah. And the movie is called The Saint of Second Chances.
Amen to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And he truly is. He's given so many people second chances, and he comes across very real, very human, and always moving along to a better place, I think. I had a chance to work with him for quite a while. We would get together and we would do days where it would just be all speeches with some of his friends. And so he would give a speech, and Fran Zuli, his one of his dear friends and mine, would speak and I would speak. And so we just got together and found whatever wisdom we had to offer and offered it up it was usually at St. Paul Saint Stadium, CHS Field. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Mike Veeck, he was raised in baseball, right? His family.
His dad was
owned the Chicago Cubs.
They owned
the Cubs or the Sox?
The Sox.
Okay.
They bought the Sox. They were one of the last, they put it in the video, one of the last non-millionaire, billionaire type families to own a team. And the White Sox were in dire straits when they bought them. And they worked to get them back. It's a fascinating story. And Mike has been through so much. He just lost his daughter, I think it's about 2 years ago now.
Oh no.
Yeah. And they were best buddies. She was his hero and he was hers. And so he's been through more than many.
Wow. That's tough.
Yeah. Beyond.
But you guys speak along with Fun is Good. Now, are you one of the speakers or one of the presenters?
Yeah, I have been one of the speakers for Fun is Good. Yeah. It kind of fell apart a little bit during COVID and then while he was making the movie, but who knows? Maybe it'll come back.
Because one of the topics that group would address, and this was keep a check on me here, Joan, because I don't know if I have
Okay.
this right. This was basically seminars about to present to corporations. Am
Or
I
individuals, just
or
people.
okay about how having fun, whether it's work or home or wherever, is
Hmm.
good. And one of the
Right.
messages, you guys, uh, kindness makes the world and your business better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, because we tend to think of it as a business, and it's like it's not a business so much as it's a compilation of humans, and humans respond beautifully to kindness. Everybody wants kindness, everybody wants
Right.
kindness to them. And if you can provide that understanding of who they are and where they are and offer them a little bit of kindness, people tend to want to offer more of themselves to the business, because
Sure.
they understand that it's a relationship and things flow back and forth and not just in one way. So yeah, I thought it was a really valuable message, and Mike, he's just a goofball in so many ways, and so he surrounded himself with lots of funny people
I
telling
can.
those stories. So I was the least funny of the group for sure.
Oh, stop.
No, I totally was. I was the more serious one, so
Oh my
but
goodness.
but it was fun to be there and be a part of it.
Yeah, because when he bought the St. Paul Saints,
Hmm.
and he had a business partner, and it was Bill Murray, right?
Yeah,
Speaking
absolutely.
of
Yeah.
associating yourself with funny people,
Yeah, they're best friends as far as as far as Mike has told me, he and Bill are about as close as you can be.
it was kind of sad when he gave up ownership, though.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of figured that was, and because somebody else can come in and they can try to keep that going, but
yeah. He's got a special spirit, and
he
both he and
does.
Bill. They were in town this last Saturday night, well, in part to go to this movie premiere, but they retired Daryl Strawberry's number at Saints Field on Saturday night. So both Bill and Mike were there. And yeah. And that's a second chance. They gave Daryl Strawberry a second chance, and he ended
Yeah,
up back in the majors and winning the World Series with the Yankees. So
right.
that's part of that. Giving somebody a second chance, that's kindness, right? Seeing
That
that
is
you made just your
absolutely,
worst
that's the
mistake.
definition of kindness. Because so
Right.
it's easy to say, well, you messed up and this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're
But if you
truly
put
a kind,
yourself into that circumstance and it's like your worst day, somebody judges you on your worst day and says, that's it. I'm never going to give you any more trust than, that event demanded. It's like, no, you can grow, you can change, you can,
absolutely.
yeah. So he models it in his business. And I mean, he's been very successful because of it. I think he and his son are going in on a new baseball team in
Oh,
Iowa. Yeah.
in Ohio?
Iowa, I
Oh,
believe.
Iowa. So
Yeah.
he's not going. He's a Midwestern guy, born and raised.
Well, he's
No?
kind of all over the place. I think he's living in Charleston now, but
Oh,
he
well.
travels quite well. So
Why are we talking about Mike Veeck when it's actually Joan Steffend we should be talking
I don't
about?
know because he's interesting.
Well, and you are too.
Hmm.
You're so
Yeah, but
interesting.
I think my biggest claim to fame might be normalcy.
You like to say that a lot.
Well, I think
I'm
it's
just a
true.
normal woman.
Yeah, I really think I think that that's true. I don't, I've had a job that puts me into unusual circumstances, but I remain pretty clearly a normal woman, a normal human being who has tough times and who has great times and who has, my children, my grandchildren are everything to me, and I just want the world to be a better place because I've got people I love that are going to be growing up in it. No, and I think that's true for most of us. We just don't know how to get there. And
Right.
what I tend to want to do is remind people that you can start right now, in this moment. I think one of the things that I would love to say to the people who are listening is think of the smallest thing that you can do that would add kindness to your world or the world, the smallest, because when you start with the smallest thing, it's really hard to come up with an excuse why you can't do it.
And
You
those
know?
smallest things make the biggest difference sometimes, don't they?
Well, I would put, yeah, I would put even thinking a kind thought into that. So I wouldn't hesitate, like in this moment, like maybe you're trapped in a room, maybe you can't get out, maybe you know, aren't feeling well, but you can think of people and you can offer kind thoughts to them. And I'm enough of a believer in the woo woo to know that that makes a difference. You know, we are all connected. We're all tied together. And if one person in this great big grid of humanity offers kindness and a kind thought to somebody else, it has an impact because we're all connected. So think of
Indeed.
the smallest thing that you can do and then work up from there. And if you reach a limit, that's fine. But simple, small. Einstein used to say of God, if the solution is simple, God is in the answer. And the
Oh,
simplest solution to me is you be kind. It's really easy to point the finger at other people and say they should have been kinder. Well, just see how you can be kinder if you want the
right.
world to be kinder. You know,
I
it's
love
just
that.
simple.
I love that.
Make
Um,
it simple.
and it's true, you know, holding a door open for somebody, smiling at somebody, saying some.
Yeah.
I saw a woman in Walmart one day. It was around Easter time, and
Mhm.
she had on the most brilliant yellow dress, and I
Yeah.
saw it from across the store,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I know my wife is probably, you know, if I said something, she'd be mortified, but I couldn't
Mhm.
help it.
Yeah.
And I went over to that lady and I said, I am sorry to disturb you. I know this is your personal space, but I said, I just had to tell you that dress makes me so happy. It
Yeah.
just makes me happy to see that dress. It's bright and it's bold and it's yellow and it
Yeah.
makes me smile. And that made me smile today. And I wanted you to know.
Well, you know what? That woman probably wouldn't wear a bright yellow dress if she didn't want it to be noticed. So I think you did just fine by going
Fair.
over there and saying that.
But
And
she
you
kind
said
of
something lovely
clasped
to
her
her.
hands up to her
Yeah.
chest and she said, oh, thank you.
And I'll bet she thinks of you every time she puts on that yellow dress. She
Maybe
maybe doesn't think of your face. She probably doesn't know your name, but she will remember the good energy that you offered to her that day.
I'll wear that dress that got me some attention at Walmart.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's so simple. And I mean, it is like we talked before, the difference between saying you want kindness on TV or you want a good news TV program and actually watching it. The difference is we can say we think the world should be kinder, but you actually, I invite you to keep it in your mind on a moment to moment basis as much as you can. Make it a meditation in your day, keep it in your heart, see how you move through the world and see how kind you are and how you can become just a little more kind. It really is just a personal responsibility. Whether you would choose to accept it or not, you know, it's
Right.
up to you. But
Oh,
it's simple. It's like I told you one of my favorite. It's a French proverb and it says, if the whole world swept in front of their door, the world would be clean. I mean, if each person swept in front of their own door, the world would be clean. So
right.
it's just, that's all it is. It's like the world's not going to be completely kind unless you are completely kind. You know, everybody else, you have a personal responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
fun. And it's fun. It really is fun.
Nobody doesn't like being kind.
No. And sometimes you don't get it back from that person and you have to go, well, that's okay. I'll get it back from somebody else. You know, you may not get the smile back in Target, you know, but you know that you added your smile to Target.
Right. Right. For sure.
Yeah.
I
So
know. It's such a fun. eh, When I wrote a book about happiness,
you did.
I did. Yeah, you
Oh,
and I
cool.
have something else in common. We've both written two books.
Ooh, you'll have to give me the titles.
I will. I'll
Okay.
do it offline. But and they're very short books, so
Hmm.
you won't waste a lot of time.
Mine are too. Mine
I
are very,
know. Well, okay, so you have And She Sparkled.
yep, which is a metaphor about life and how we are all born perfect and wonderful and lovely. And we allow the world to tell us that we should be something better or different or prettier or something. And if one day you wake up and start to uncover who you really are, it's a joyful journey. So it's about authenticity and reclaiming who you are.
Absolutely love that. And then, the other
Peace
one
in,
is
peace
escaping
out.
me. What?
Peace in, peace out.
Peace in, peace out. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, again, I'm going for the little. On one side of the page, it's a little way that you can offer yourself a little more kindness and love. And on the other side of the page, it's a little way you can offer the world a little more kindness and love. And I wrap it up. That book wraps up with, remember who you are, be who you are, share who you are, change the world. So remember that you are powerful beyond measure. You are creative. You are made from love. Remember that, and then have the courage to walk in the world like that. And when you do that, you automatically share yourself with other people, and that changes the world.
Amen.
Simple, right? Simple.
It is.
It's so simple.
Well, it's so simple, even a caveman could do it. Wait, I think we just stole something. No, but it is. I mean, all of kindness, all of happiness it's just a series of small steps
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that we can take if we choose to take them.
Right. Because it's great to do all those wonderful, marches and all, and events and all that sort of stuff. But really the real work of kindness is done in your life and in your thoughts and in your movements and in your speech. It is lovely to have things out there that are big that call attention to the idea that kindness is wonderful, but it's really your work.
Yeah.
And it has to be remembered and it has to be honored because I noticed on your Facebook page, you had the Aldous Huxley quote that I think he said something like, it's embarrassing that after years of study, I've come to the conclusion that, kindness is the most important thing. It seems like such an inconsequential thing, but it's not.
Right. I love finding quotes about kindness and sharing them with the world, or however many followers I might have.
Yeah. Well, eventually it'll get to the world. We're all connected, right?
Exactly.
And World War II, Anne Frank, who said, isn't it wonderful that we need not wait a single moment before making the world a better place, a kinder place?
Indeed. I love that one too. Yeah. And so, well, Joan, this has been the highlight
of the day
of the week. I'm going to go week, maybe awesome. Month. It might even be month. To have you on and to speak with you. And I just absolutely appreciate your time, the gift of your time.
This is the most important thing. It's much more important than probably anything you'll see on the news. It's more important than anything we did on HGTV. It's important stuff you're talking about. Really, it's important stuff.
Thank you. I think so, but modesty, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm not that important. I don't have a role to play. I know.
Yeah, you do.
And you do too. And I cannot wait to see what you're going to do next.
It will be interesting to figure that one out. I don't know.
No pressure.
No, I have lots of things that I dream about. So we'll see which direction I end up going. Who knows? But always the grandchildren are in there. So.
Well, know that whatever you do next, I will be there to cheer you on.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
You have an awesome rest of your day.
I will.
And we will talk soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye. What a great time with Joan Steffend Brandmeier. I have had her on, I told you, I've had her on my list to do this show for quite a while. And she absolutely did not disappoint. She rocked this episode. And I am so grateful that she chose to do that. I know she's likes to be known as a normal person, but she'll always be a superstar to me. And I so appreciate having her on the episode today. And that will do it for this episode of the Kindness Matters podcast. But remember to be that person who roots for others who tells a stranger that they look amazing and encourages others to believe in themselves and their dreams. We will be back next week with another episode. You have been listening to the Kindness Matters podcast, and I am your host, Mike Rathman. Please go out and have a fantastic week.